are the only vote.
Labor movement, not because I wanted to negotiate wages. I got into the labor movement because I saw it as a vehicle to do massive social change to improve the lots of people.
Let's take these son of a out and give America back to America where we belong. Thank you very much. Thank you.
As far as I'm concerned, the Tea Party can go straight to hell.
I am a real American. Fight for the rights of every man. I am a real American. Fight for what's right. Fight for your right.
Our Tuesday is just rolling along. Thanks for being a part of it. I'm Brian Summerfield. He is Trucker Randy, and we are your defending fathers.
Good morning, Brian.
Good morning. Big introduction in the first half hour. Now this half hour, hopefully we can add to the rest of the story, part of the story. And I'll let you take over from here.
Yeah, I'm happy to tell our listeners that we were able to contact Kerry Bentivolio's campaign. We talked about it here in the first half hour, setting up what was going on down there in the 11th District. And is Kerry on the call with us?
Yes.
Good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Kerry. How you doing, buddy?
Great. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this morning.
Great. We thank you for calling in. We know you're busy on the campaign trail there. We set it up for our listeners prior to you calling in, but real quick, if you could just give us a quick synopsis of what the heck is going on down there in the 11th Congressional District.
I think this is a first, or one for the history books anyway. The incumbent who I was running against, so I thought, failed to get his petition signatures. He only turned in about 250 valid signatures, and the rest were photocopies. And then he decided to become a write-in, and then after something else, I don't know exactly, we're still finding out, he stopped the write-in campaign, and then quite a few of the good old boys here in Oakland County decided to pick somebody to run against me as a write-in, and I guess there were about maybe 10 people in the room, and about 4 of them wanted to be a write-in, and so somebody put down a check for $200,000 and they decided that's who's going to run against me.
And this is going to be a write-in campaign because you are the only qualified candidate to turn in enough valid signatures to be on the August 7th ballot. So you were net effectively unopposed when the current congressman didn't have enough signatures. You were going to be on that ballot all by yourself on August 7th.
Correct.
And then they were going to do a write-in for this person, and then that kind of fizzled out. We put a lot of pressure on them to not do that. And then all of a sudden, out of the clear blue, Thaddeus McCotter resigned from being your congressman down there.
That's correct. Now, there's that's correct. Thaddeus McCotter, his timing was just perfect. He resigned from Congress, and that forced Governor and and Cali to basically announce that constitutionally they have to have a special election, and that's at a cost of $650,000 to the state, along with thousands of dollars for every city and township in the community that will be involved in the election for the old 11th district. The only bright spot here is that for those people that are in the district common to the old and the new 11th district, they'll be able to vote for the same guy in the same election twice, and it'll be legal.
Okay, so August 7th, you're on the ball.
Well, August 7th,
those folks will be able to vote for you.
Right.
And then I see yesterday you turned in enough signatures strictly for the ballot for September 5th, the special election. You did that all with unpaid volunteers.
Yeah, we had over 100 out in the field. It was quite impressive. It's wonderful. I'm so grateful. In less than 4 days, unpaid volunteers, more than 100 of them, went out in the field, and we gathered, according to the special election people in Lansing as Secretary of State, they said we turned in 1,108 for the preliminary review of valid signatures. Now we still have till Friday to turn in another 865, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to turn in another, well, as many as we can get. I'm sure we'll get 865 more signatures to turn in by Friday. So that right now, as I haven't heard anything different, I'm the only one on the ballot for the August 7th primary, as well as the September 5th primary.
What makes you so bad that the establishment GOP needs to have another candidate, and as well as spending the resources and dividing their own base to make sure that you don't get elected?
Well, yeah, I'm very extreme because I want transparency and accountability, which means, like Justin and Mosh, I want to post my votes online, and the reason I voted that way, as well as repeal Obamacare, balancing the budget, and I'm really tired of the uncontrolled spending and the borrowing from our grandchildren's futures. And I'm very outspoken about veterans issues. We have more than, an epidemic of veterans who came home from Afghanistan and Iraq that are committing suicide, that are homeless, and when they file an application for some kind of benefits, either educational or mostly medical, it takes there's over 900,000 applications for these benefits that are more than 300 days old, and they're not getting the attention they deserve. That's very upsetting. I experienced myself when I was medevaced out of Iraq in 2007. A lot happened, and I was really upset and disappointed in the medical treatment that our soldiers were receiving at a medical holding unit. And that's one of the reasons I was inspired to run for office. I'm just fed up with what's going on in our country.
Well, based on your answer, I think it's very important for our listeners to make sure they hear this warning. Generally, we'll do this sometime during the show, but I think we need to do this, especially with you being on. Here's your warning. We may talk about radical ideas such as freedom, liberty, less regulation, free and open markets, right to bear arms, limited government, minimal taxation, personal responsibility, balanced budgets, moral absolutes, states' rights, and a strict interpretation of the U.S. Constitution. There, you have been warned. Listen now at your own risk.
And that makes me extreme.
You got it, buddy.
Well, that's the point, the question I wanted to ask you, Kerry, is if you stand for these things, and this is what you're speaking out on as a candidate running, why would the establishment National Republican Party and the Michigan GOP be so against you, where they feel they've got to find a challenger to replace Thaddeus McCotter with, and this special election with all this cost, and possibly try to do a write-in against you or whatever on August 7th?
Well, I think they're more interested in control of the electorate. Well, I'm more interested in representation. I think that's the main difference. Okay,
so they're saying that they know that you're backed and supported by a lot of us Tea Party people. We supported you back 2010. We continue to support you today. And so they're basically seeing this as perhaps maybe a Tea Party-backed candidate versus an establishment candidate. Would that be a good interpretation?
Yes, I'm very proud of the Tea Party folks. As a former teacher, I can tell you that as a civics teacher, when they have a bunch of students in their classroom, they're always preaching, you have to get involved. And the Tea Party get an A, because now here's a bunch of concerned citizens that are fed up with the uncontrolled spending and the continued borrowing and some of the, if you let me use this term, it's called wooba gooba, the magic tricks, the sleight of hand, the magic mirrors, the smoke, all that stuff. When they're fed up with it, now they want to get educated and learn about what's going on. And that's a wonderful thing. They get an A from all their former civics teachers, I think.
Well, thank you, sir. Brian, you have a question for Kerry?
Yeah, let's go to the special election, because I think these three things that will be coming up are probably really help define what you're really trying to do when you go to Washington. And during the lame duck session, it looks like there's going to be three big issues that are going to be done. Again, why during a lame duck session? Not constitutional, but they're doing it anyways. And I think the big one is extending of the Bush-era tax cuts. Where do you stand on that?
Well, I'm a no-tax guy, and I'm going to stick to that. There was a lady when I ran for Michigan Senate who came up to me and said, Mr. Bentivolio, I would support you if you'll vote for this bill that makes public employees pay taxes on their retirement, just like the private sector folks. And I said, well, I don't think you're going to be able to support me, because what I'd like to see is retired people not pay taxes on their retirement income in the private and the public sector. I really I have a real problem with that. And she said, well, I can't support you. I said, okay. Well, now she's supporting me because she realizes the error of her ways. I'm a no-tax guy.
So let's go to the second issue then. Extension of the debt ceiling.
Not interested.
Can you believe with all the money that we're spending above and beyond what we're bringing in, that this even has to be a question? That Lansing is that far removed from everyday people that this issue just cannot even be resolved without it having to be a crisis at the last minute every 6 to 9 months?
It's interesting how they always they threaten the jobs of teachers, policemen, and firemen when there's a debt crisis, but they don't talk about the bloated bureaucracy of the government.
Well, one of the questions along this line, I had a face-to-face with my congressman up here in the 1st District, Congressman Benishek, and I asked him why he voted to raise the debt ceiling without any valid, legitimate spending cuts. And his excuse, Kerry, and I'd like to get your opinion on this, he said was because President Obama had done such a good job of putting out there as PR that he wouldn't be able to send out the Social Security checks to seniors and pay our military unless we raised the debt ceiling. And I told him that was a load of crap, and I couldn't believe that he bought that from the president. What's your opinion on that?
I agree with you. I can't believe he bought that from the president.
And he's telling us now that he may have to vote for this next debt ceiling because if he doesn't, there's a good possibility that our credit rating may be downgraded again. And I think it's going to be downgraded if we do raise the debt ceiling.
I agree with you.
Well, where is it then? I guess my question is that based on these votes, and of course because they did fail in the super committee, they raised the debt ceiling last time. They were supposed to go and find $1 trillion worth of cuts. They failed. Congressman Camp and Congressman Upton and all those folks. Now they're cutting $500 billion out of Medicare and $500 billion out of the military. This is a vote that's coming up, probably like Brian says in the lame duck. So exactly, why would it be that the Republican Party is so against your position in insisting that another congressman go there and fill Thaddeus McCotter's remaining term?
Wow, that's a long question. Let's see if I can divide this up. Can you give me cut that down just a little?
Well,
bit?
The vote on the military, specifically this raising of the debt ceiling.
Well, here's let me help you out. The third thing in the lame duck session is the issue of sequestration, which is the automatic defense spending cuts that they agreed to because they didn't make their $1 trillion cut.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Number one, Article 1, Section 8, our primary focus is the Department of Defense. And this is a pretty, well, I spent 27 years in the military. I have some background knowledge other people probably aren't privy to. It probably would take more than an hour show to explain what's going on in the military, and my number one thing is we have to take care of the troops. We have to defend this country. That's priority one. I think we should take some soldiers out of Germany, some other countries, and put them on our southern borders to protect our country against the illegal immigration that's coming into this country. So, as far as cutting, I know we can cut smartly without jeopardizing our defensive posture. I know that because I'm privy to some information, and I've been there 27 years, and I fought in Vietnam and Iraq. So, okay, that's next question.
Well,
did I answer that?
I think you nailed it on the money, because how many times do we get politicians getting up there and they don't talk about fact, they talk about feeling, and they don't really care about the Constitution and what their real Constitution role is at the federal government level, and get off on all this other spending that's non-essential. At what point in time are they going to say, this isn't non-essential, that's not essential, that's unconstitutional, and concentrate on the 3 or 4 things that really are constitutional, and that's really what your answer was, right on the money.
That's right. Article 1, Section 8. What big government people like to do is I'll give you a little story. My daughter, 5 years old, late one night she's crying, and she's screaming for daddy and mommy. And I walked into her bedroom and said, turned on the light, and I said, what's the problem? She said, well, there's a monster in the closet. And so I opened the closet, and with the lights on, I showed her there was nothing in there, and she went back to sleep. Well, she knows that in her closet, or in her bedroom now, she's safe. And somebody's exposed the fear, or eliminated the fear that they had by exposing the truth, that there's nothing really in that closet. On the other hand, you also have to understand that outside in the public, I keep a very close eye on my daughter, and I'm aware that there are people out there that want to hurt her, or some other thing. And that's what we have to do. We have to use that analogy. There are people out there that want to hurt us, that want to steal our freedom, and our job is to protect it and look at the facts rather than the mystery, if you will, or and we have to turn on the light, open the closet, and expose what is really there, and then, in real life, out in public, educate our folks to what really is out there, what the dangers really are.
One thing I've not seen anywhere, and that is the difference between the two candidates that are running on the Republican side. I've not seen anything, even just, here's the difference on our positions, or here's where we vary on constitutional issues, on spending issues, on tax issues. I've not seen anything yet, and we're 3 weeks out from the election.
Yeah, one of my write-in opponents is the sponsor and the architect of the Michigan business tax, which is a job-killing tax on Michigan. It was they basically used a bad tax to replace a bad tax. And what I don't understand is how our Republicans can support any kind of tax like that. It's just mind-boggling. And what the opponent did was there was a surcharge that basically allowed businesses outside of Michigan to come into Michigan and be permitted not have to pay that tax. They were subsidized by businesses here in Michigan. And when all that happened, you know the story of Michigan. Everybody left. And their question went, why is all businesses leaving Michigan and people are unemployed, losing their houses? This chain reaction from a Republican who helped write this Michigan business tax in cooperation with Governor Granholm. It's mind-boggling. Why are they doing that?
Well, I can tell you, as you hear my rhino sound in the background, because sometimes we have people that we send there under the name of being a Republican that's like, well, we don't need to get rid of unconstitutional stuff. We'll just try to fix it. And how many times do we have Republicans try to stand up and defend things or change things that just need to be eliminated, like you're talking about?
they use the excuse, well, we have to get along. I'm sorry. I'm standing firm. I'm not moving on some of those issues. I want to bring back fiscal sanity to our government. But I want you to know, one of my opponents, the hand-picked establishment good old boys, is spreading outright lies. They're doing a mass mailing. They're spreading outright lies and giving it some credibility by saying there's some kind of questionnaire out there. I answered, and my people went online trying to find this stuff. Haven't been able to find it. They know my stance. People are calling, Tea Party people are calling, asking, what about this? What about this? And, of course, they know me. A lot of people know me, and they're speaking out, saying nowhere in Kerry's campaign. I mean, they investigated my background, every little rock, in your life they turn over and try to find out anything that could be negative, and they found nothing that can be used against me yet. Now they have to make up these lies and spread them out and did a mass mailing, and we're trying to do everything we can to dispel or fight those lies. And we have 1,000 volunteers out there trying to help us go door to door and pass out the proper literature.
Well, one of the things you're going to need, Kerry, is to put together literature countering these lies about your positions, and perhaps even do some radio ads, get the information out there. How would people go to your website if they wanted to donate? Because it's going to take a lot of money to run these elections for you. What's your website for people that want to go and donate to your cause?
Well, KerryBWorksForMe.com. Kerry, Kerry, B, works for me, and that letter, or it's spelled FOR, me, for me.
Okay.
KerryBWorksForMe.com, and they can visit our website and find out the truth and where I stand on the issues. And there's a button there they can click that says donate, $5, $10, $25. In fact, most of our money comes from the average everyday folk, just like me, who wants to change our government. The only way to fight this big money is to get 100,000 people to donate $10 each, and we win. And we're back on the road to recovery, I think. We're going to finally send a true Republican, a conservative constitutionalist, to Washington to represent people, not control them.
Well, that's exactly what we need to do, and I would urge folks, again, Kerry, the letter B for his last name, F-O-R, works for me, is KerryBWorksForMe.com. Yeah, and go there and, like you said, donate $10, and let's see if we can help him win these elections.
Yeah, and if they want to spend more, they can spend more. We'll be more than happy to
take it.
Use the help.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have this interview on our podcast. We'll get it recorded on a link where people can listen to it. I'll send it to you on Facebook, and you can spread it across your social media and get the information out. We appreciate you calling in this morning. We know you got to get back on the trail, but thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you for the opportunity, and please, any of my volunteers listening to this, thank you very much, and God bless every one of you, and let's take back America. Thank you very much.
Amen. Thanks, Kerry.
Yeah.
Well, that was a very interesting scenario, hearing right directly from the only candidate, Brian, that's going to be on the ballot on August 7th, and hopefully he'll be the only candidate on the special election. If so, they might even be able to cancel that and save the $650,000 they're going to have to spend on that race.
Plus all the time and effort of the election workers. That's not any easy task. Getting there early in the morning, sitting there all through the day, especially in another one more election in this election season. I'm just baffled at the upper levels of the GOP that they would just say, we've got a good candidate that's running. He's got a lot of support. let's get 100% behind him and make sure that he can win this election.
Yep.
As opposed, it seems like they're trying to divide, as opposed to trying to rally everybody together. It just makes no sense to me. I've got no problem with primary challenging. I think it's very good. I think it makes candidates better. It gives people a choice. It takes away that, well, why am I voting for him in November and it's not really my type of candidate. Well, in the primary, you get a chance to select the type of candidate that you want to vote for in November to represent you in at either your town, your state, or your federal government, and it gives them a chance win the primary. So it makes no sense to me. I'm Brian Summerfield. He is Trucker Randy, and we are your defending fathers.